Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I'd show you some updates on two projects I got going on right now. And one is retrofitting the Helios-MSC2 Reforged Eden version for Reforged Eden 2, and the other one is getting that Carapace-C2X completed. Actually, both of these are pretty much completed at this point in time, so I thought I would kind of go over what I ended up with on both ships here. So to start with, on the Helios, I got this guy all set up kind of for Reforged Eden 2 now. In fact, it's probably almost ready for the workshop, except for I wanted to update the info LCD on it as well. So to start with, since the last video, Reforged Eden 2 got a patch, and it increased the CPU a little bit. Previously, for a Core 9 build on a CV, you would get 800,000 CPU. I'm sorry, you'd get 700,000 CPU, and now you get 800,000. So definitely welcome on the increased CPU there. And also, even on like a Core 7 build, like the Carapace is currently, it got a little bit more CPU, which made it work out better as well. So start with on the Helios, I had a little bit of extra CPU, and I wanted to spend that wisely. Now, seriously, it did take a big hit in thrust performance versus Reforged Eden 1. And I showed that on the last video. It's almost in half on overall thrust performance on the ship. Now, I did restore some of it a little bit. I swapped out these drive thrusters on the back of the ship here to the plasma versions, or tier 2 version of this thruster, which did give it some quite a bit more flight performance in the forward direction. So you can see it's 109 here now. And it was lower than that last time I showed it. And I also I swapped out one of the smaller strafing thrusters to a plasma version as well. So that made it strafe a little bit better. Still 55 in reverse. The lift is pretty low on it, but it is supposed to be a space carrier. However, I mean, through upgrading and stuff, you could really have a lot of lift thrust on this ship if you wanted to set it up that way. One other thing I did do is I added in 4 of the smaller plasma turbines into the ship stock as well, and that's part of the CPU that's in it right now. Let me just show you some of the changes that I did. I had to modify 3 rooms in the ship here to accommodate some new parts and cores and things like that. So let me get over to the core room here. Start with, this got retrofitted a little bit, so it's got the Core 9 set up in here now. And then you have 2 locations to add in the 2x3 quantum cores. And according to the tool tip here, that is the maximum allowed of this particular type of quantum core. So 2 are allowed. Now, I also noticed that there is auxiliary cores, and there's this other quantum core, and this is confusing me a little bit. But there's aux cores, and then there's this as well. So this adds 200,000 CPU to a build. However, I can't place it. It will not let me place it. It doesn't have one in already. It only says there's one allowed of this, but it is like maybe this has to be done in game itself or something like that. There's also another CPU upgrading part, and that is a aux core, which are these. These I can place, and it looks like you can put up to 4 of these in, but they don't look like they work quite the same as the previous aux cores. These basically increase the CPU by 60,000. They don't lower down the amount of CPU that's being used already. They do increase it by 60,000 though, and you could put in 4 of these. So between the 4 of these, you could add another 240,000 CPU to the build. Now, these are a little deceptive, though. They look like they're going to be a single block part, but they're not. They're actually, I just discovered that they are a 2x2. So right now in this core room, I don't have sections to add these, but I'm thinking about adding a center aisle here, maybe a little bit of block work, so you can get like some of these. I'll have to shift it around a little bit, but so you can get some of these in here as well. But they do truly add 60,000 CPU, and they don't reduce the existing CPU like they did in Reforged Eden 1, from what I'm seeing here. All right, so to the back of the ship, both engineering areas got modified to allow for some more parts, mainly turbines. and I did install some right off the gates too. So I didn't remove any of the existing part upgrade pieces, so you can still pop in another 4 advanced generators if you want. I don't know if you'd ever do that though. But you do. The ship does come stock now with 4 of the smaller plasma turbines. Each one of these is 10,000 CPU, and they count as 5 large solar panels in the amount of residual power they make. So that would be essentially the ship has 20 large solar panels on its stock. Beyond that, though, I added in, there's a rack on either side of both engineering areas to add in the larger turbines in addition to the small ones. So they fit in here pretty easily, just like that. Each one of these are 20,000 CPU and count as 12.5 large solar panels. So, I mean, if you did all the math and you had all 8 turbines in a creation, what I think it equates upward around 60 some large solar panels. So it's actually more potential than what you could do with just the solar panels in the past. Even if you had a full load out of 44 total solar panels between the large and small, these turbines will create more residual power if they're all placed versus the solar panels. But I did have to leave those out for the sake of CPU stock. So it does have locations to add the advanced plasma turbines, and that's what the APT symbol is standing for. And then one last little thing. I didn't really need to do this, but I figured why not? There's room. So you can also add in a small fusion reactor, which is a 3x3 new fusion reactor. You can just stick it up on the ceiling there, and then you're all set. Now, let me go to the other engineering area. Obviously, the ship already had a location for the big fusion reactor and the large shield parts and the medium shield parts and small shield parts, but you could also put in the small fusion reactor if you wanted to mix and match, figure out how you want to do your power. And then here's the other turbines on this side, and then the other rack for the larger turbines over there. So those are the modifications made to the ship on the insides. And then obviously a couple of the thrusters got upgraded. But overall, looking at the numbers, again, it's not moving as good as it did in Reforged Eden 1. Even if I got rid of those turbines, that would give me another 40,000 CPU. I could upgrade a couple more thrusters in place of those turbines, which is an option. It's just like I'm not sure which ones to upgrade, and I can't. It's very limited on what I could do. I can't like affect all the different directions on the ship. Like I know the lift thrust is kind of lacking here, but again, it's supposed to be a space carrier. I guess if you do run into a problem with the lift thrust and you want to take this down to planets, there's a lot of upgrade potential you could do to the ship to seriously increase its lift power. You could upgrade the existing drive thrusters here, a couple notches. That'll add a lot of lift right there, and you can add in another 4 more drive thrusters for lift as well back over here. So if you did want to outfit this thing to work planet side more, you could do that. But I'm just trying to at a Core 9 CPU spec, I'm trying to figure out what's the best places to put the CPU into, and obviously trying to make it land on planets wouldn't be a priority. The forward thrust actually is the biggest priority, and that's where I put the CPU into upgrading these forward thrusters here to get that speed up to 110 again, or it used to do like 150. In Reforged Eden 1, and all the other specs were faster on it too. So it did take a big hit. Even with the increased CPU, I was able to restore some of the functionality, but not all of it, obviously. So it's still slower than it would be in Reforged Eden 1, and it has less residual power creation versus the full barrage of solar panels it had previously. But you could, through additional CPU, you can upgrade a lot of things on this ship and make it probably more powerful than it ever was or capable of being in the past too, but it would require an awful lot of CPU to do that. So the next creation here, the Carapace, I did finish up all the last parts of this ship. Got the LCDs in place, got the CPU balanced. I did go again for the Core 7 build instead of 9. I thought I was going to have to go to a Core 9. But if I strip out a couple things, kind of like how it's sitting right now, I can get it to balance pretty good at Core 7 because this also got increased on CPU from where it was. So a Core 7 build on a CV here in RE4 2 is currently doing 560,000 CPU. I got this balanced at 558 right now. Now it does have locations to add a couple superior cores to bring it to a Core 9. And in fact, it does have locations to add a couple quantum cores if you wanted to bring it up higher than that yet. But where I did have to dwindle the ship down a little bit is on its production equipment. It does have one, the new name for it is like a large commercial constructor. It's the equivalent of the advanced constructor here. I could only get one in, and I had to even remove the small constructors I had over here. Now, obviously, you have locations to add some more constructors or deconstructors, up to 4 small constructors, but I did have to kind of pillage that area to get to get this cool at Core 7 CPU. Also, I did finish up the farm section. This is pretty much what it's looking like now. So this can do 54 grow plots. It is cramped. I wish I had more room for walkways around the farms and access to these pieces over here, but it's tight, and that is the biggest problem I've got with this ship. Is it's just there's not much room, at least the way I'm configuring it right now. Like I wanted the hangar, I wanted the farm, and because I'm using up so much space for those, I don't have room for turbines or additional shield parts or advanced generators or other things like that. Just can't fit them, and it's not even a question of even on CPU or anything like that. It's just I just don't physically have the room to put any of that stuff. So I'm kind of keeping it the way it is. Again, it's a Core 7 hardened steeled ship. It doesn't have any extra shield parts in it, but it is still able to produce 27,400 in shield due to the new method of shields. Basically, all your hull blocks count as increased shield hit points. In this case, hardened steel blocks count as 2 per block, and that's why you're getting the 27,000 shield on this ship, is because of the a lot to do with the hull materials. And also, of course, this does have it mines right off the gates too. It's not like a big dedicated 10 drill miner, but it's still got 4 drills on it. It still can do reasonably decent mining on asteroids. I would be pretty content with four mining drills myself. I know you could build miners with a lot more than that, which will be more be faster. But yeah, I mean this is a multifunction ship here, so it could also do mining. As an ammo store, it says I decided not to switch any of these 320s over to ammo. It does have 4 320K cargo bays in it, but instead I added a couple ammo boxes at 14K a piece, so you got basically a right and left ammo box. But this ship, honestly, it doesn't do a lot of guns. It really doesn't. It's got some of the turrets on here, and you have some extra launcher positions over here as well if you wanted to add some launchers of one origin or another to it. But other than that, it shouldn't be needing a whole heck of a lot of ammo, and that's why I think 28K ammo, especially with the kind of turrets that it comes stock with, will probably be suffice. But I mean, if a player runs into a thing where they need a whole lot more ammo storage than that, you'd simply just swap out one of the 3 available controllers and swap them to a ammo controller instead. Now, one of these is harvest, and I got to change my LCD on there. I just realized that. So it says cargo, but that's actually a harvest bay for 320. And then if you didn't know the ship to it, it has 2 basically like an input and output of 640K cargo bays as well. So the last thing I really got to do to this before I can get it out to the workshop, which I plan on doing this weekend, is I do need to add in a part info LCD, clean up some missing textures in places. I can see I got a problem right here. Hold on, I got to fix that. This should be that, not what it was. Yeah, like that. Okay, anyway. Yeah, I should get it to the workshop this weekend, and it should be all set up then. But right now it's pretty much done. Everything's in check. The only thing it needs is the info LCD. All the sensors are in place. The LCDs are in place, and it's configured right for Core 7 stock CPU. Again, you can bring it up to a Core 9, and you can also slop in a couple of the larger quantum cores in it if you wanted to. So you could give this chip quite a bit more CPU. The biggest side effect here is I had to strip down its production quite a lot, and that kind of sucks. But I'm just out of places to steal any CPU from, unless I wanted to start seriously messing with the thrusters on it. And I don't really want to, as it's kind of configured the way I kind of wanted it to be right now. Granted, you could get a lot more performance out of some of these thrusters by upgrading them to the plasma or the other higher end version. That'll give a lot more thrust performance in the ship. But again, you could do that if you did upgrade the ship CPU. And then you could increase the thrust performance in, well, pretty much every direction. But that goes for any ship. It's not anything unique to that ship. But other than that, that is all I've got for today. I just kind of wanted to go over where I'm at with things. As in the this Helios, I want to look over it a little bit more. And this is just going to be kind of a sneaky workshop release. It's not like a scheduled one like this weekend. I'll probably get it out maybe tomorrow even. But I'll put it out to the workshop, and it'll be I won't say private, but a non-public link. But I'll link it to the existing Helios-MSC2. So if you wanted to grab that once I get it out to the workshop, you could just go to the Helios-MSC2. There'll be a link in there for the Reforged Eden 2 version of the ship, just like there is already for the vanilla version of the ship. So then you can grab it that way, and I don't have to do like a full-blown new release of the ship, which I didn't really want to do. I'll just that post will kind of talk about the changes that were made from the standard RE version of it. But other than that, that's all I've got for today. Please let me know your thoughts on any of this. And, you know, looking at the configuration of this right now, if you know something I don't, and you probably do, I'm sure a lot of people do, let me know. I mean, I keep on wondering, should I accommodate for some other parts that I'm not even considering right now in this ship? Or would it be better, CPU better spent if I got rid of the 4 turbines I did put in here, took that 40,000 CPU, plus whatever's left over, and tried to upgrade some more thrusters in various places or something like that? Or do you think having some turbines in stock is a nice idea? Again, I'm using the lesser turbines too. One last thing. Just taking a look at the stats on this, the resource time. I was looking at some of this stuff here, and again, most of it makes a lot of sense to me, but I'm unfamiliar with some of the parts here. Quantum processors, to my understanding, from what was said in comments, that you can obtain these by rating POIs in the game. So I don't know, maybe it has to be a certain level POI or something like that, but it sounds like you can get these by, blowing up POIs and stuff throughout the game, which is cool. This ship does need 10. Being at a Core 9, it needs 10 of these, so just keep that in mind. And a couple parts in here I'm unsure of. Superconductor, don't know if that's going to be a difficult thing or not. And obviously advanced upgrade kit, that is for, I believe, the long range radar on the creation, so that makes a lot of sense to me. Other than that, everything else is pretty straightforward. Plasma converters, unsure. Superconductor, a little unsure on that as well. Hopefully they're not too hard to acquire in game, and that is one of the big things. I'm trying to keep this, so you can get it in, once you're player level 25 and have the and not have to like go insane for the resources on it. But I mean, again, I can't really make it any cheaper than it is. It's a giant ship. Well, I would say giant. It's a big ship, even though it's carbon too, and it's still, I'm sure those carbon blocks do add up in weight over time too. But I got to say, a little disappointed at its lift thrust. 27 ms lift, and that's from 2 stock. drive thrusters, or the big 3x3x6 ones. I just expected more out of those, I guess, than what it's doing, considering this is a carbon ship here. But one other stat too, the shield on this one is actually 24,000, and that's how the numbers are coming out. Again, it's a carbon ship. If it was steel or something else, this number would drastically go up, but its thrust performance would drastically drop as well, and it can't deal with that. It's not meant for combat. It's meant for moving huge amounts of stuff around. Other than that, that is all I've got for today. Please, again, let me know your thoughts on this, and I will talk to you later.